Hey guys, we are back with some more Salt Lake City Lakers franchise mode, and we are here in the offseason of year number 1, just about to do the draft, and we have a big offseason ahead of us because obviously it was our first year last year, and we had an absolutely terrible time. I believe we went 26, 46, and 10, I believe our record was. Yes, indeed. So we are going to get into the draft, and based on your comments from the last video, the assistant GMs in the comments all said to take Quinton Byfield. Now, an interesting thing here is Florida actually wants to trade the first overall pick. What would they want for the first overall pick? I don't think we're trading Anisimov. I mean, we could take Lafreniere if we're able to get this pick, but I don't want to trade Anisimov, and he's the only real piece of value in this organization other than the 4th overall pick. So I don't see how we'd be able to trade for that first without giving up Anisimov. We'll approach them about it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to get that first overall pick because we don't have a whole lot of assets in our organization, and that's why I only took 82 overall guys or less in the expansion draft, because I didn't want to have a situation like this happen without us paying for it tremendously. So obviously it's the first overall pick, but they want to trade it away, so let's see they can't even, not even the computer can find any trades, so we are going to skip that. We will let them take Alexis Lafreniere, and there it goes to the Florida Panthers. And next up, the Carolina Hurricanes will take Ponomarev. He is a 63 overall. The New York Rangers will take Lucas Raymond, and now we are on the clock. Everyone in the comments, once again, said to take Quinton Byfield with our pick. We also had the options of Rohan Chimera, the defensive defenseman in the U.S. League, and Alexander Holtz, the winger in the SHL. He's already NHL ready, but the consensus was Quinton Byfield. He's actually 1 year away from the NHL, but if we're thinking long-term with this team, I want to build around the center core and the defense, and obviously we took a couple of defensemen last year with Pereshagen and with Anisimov, and we also have Philip Hedl currently in their organization, but I'm not sure if Hedl's going to be that elite center. Byfield definitely will be. Hedl should end up being a nice top 6 center, but Byfield, he's got that medium elite potential. We will take him with the 4th overall pick. Welcome to Salt Lake City, Quinton Byfield. He's a 74 overall, so he is going to take maybe a year or two, but he should end up being pretty good once he is in the NHL. So now what we need to do, I want to find a trade for a couple of guys in our organization. Currently, that would be Madison Bowie and Ian McCoshen. I want to take advantage of the fact that they're both still kind of young and they both have a little bit of value, but I don't think either of them are going to be growing anymore. So we will put McCoshen and Bowie on the trade block, and we'll see what we can find for them as far as the trade goes, and nothing. So let's try just McCoshen. I want to see if... Okay, so we are able to find a trade for just McCoshen. The Coyotes are offering a 2nd, Ranta, and a 4th. And we have 31 other offers here, so let's go through them. Shaw and a 4th. No, I'd rather take that first Arizona one. Oh, okay, here we go. Trade from Colorado, a 2021 2nd and a 2020 3rd, and Grubauer. So I think that might have just overtaken the Arizona trade as the best one so far. So I think I like Colorado's offer the best. And, of course... the computer took me out of that trade because Calgary made their pick in Holtz, so now we're going to have to go back and try to find a trade once again for McCoshen, though I would imagine it would be the same trades over again here, so we'll just find another trade, and yes indeed, it does look like it is the same offers. So we will go for Colorado's offer, except I do not want Grubauer as his contract only has 1 year left. We don't need that. I'd rather just try to get another pick out of them. We'll try to squeeze out a pick for next year if we can. They don't want to give up next year's picks, though. Maybe, would they be willing to give up their 1st instead of their 2nd and their 3rd for next year? Let's try that. McCoshen for a 1st? No. Okay. So we'll go for the 3rd that they were offering us, as well as their 2nd and maybe... Oh, you know what? You know why I get confused? Those are picks from 2 years from now. Because they had so few picks this year. They only have a 3rd and a 5th right now. That I thought this year right here was actually the current draft. So we'll go for a 2nd and a 3rd for next year. And their 3rd for this year. Try to get a little bit more out of them. Proposed trade. will not go through. Okay. We'll take off a third for next year, and we'll go for a fourth. Proposed trade. There you go. So we got 3 draft picks out of Ian McCoshen. Not too shabby. And we'll also try to get rid of Madison Bowie. So I really like Dallas's offer here for Bowie. A second for next year and a 6th for this year. However, I do want to see if we can squeeze a little bit more out of them, given that, once again, we need as much as we can get. So I'm going to try a 4th for this year instead of a 6th for this year. So Bowie for a 2nd for next year and a 4th for this year. Proposed trade. Rejected. Too far off, really. Okay. How about the 5th? Proposed trade. Rejected. So they were offering as much as they were willing to give up. So we'll just go for the 2nd and the 6th, the original offer. There you go. And now we will sim up to our pick that is later in the first round at number 28. And the players that are being suggested, the top 5 there, Lapierre, Mercer, Perreault, Letavuri, and Co. I really like Dawson Mercer here, as he is 3 years away from the NHL. We don't know his exact potential, but he's 3 years away as opposed to Lapierre, who is 4 years away. And then the same thing for Perreault. He is 3 years away as well, though we don't know his exact potential. Everyone else is 4 years or more away. So I think either Mercer or Perreault has to be the pick here. I also don't like Lapierre's personality. He keeps the emotions in check and he's very loyal, but he can lack the drive to win. I don't like that. So it's either Mercer or Perreault for me. And we do have another pick in a couple of picks there. And Pittsburgh is willing to trade their 30th pick. So I'm kind of worried about whoever we don't take here going to Pittsburgh. So I think here we'll take Mercer. And then we might try to trade for Pittsburgh's pick so that we can get Perreault. So Dawson Mercer, welcome to Salt Lake City. He is a medium top 9. That is unfortunate. So we'll let New Jersey pick. And Lapierre is taking the medium top 6. I didn't like his personality with the lack of drive to win. But here we will trade for Pittsburgh's pick. And we will just move up from 31 to 30. You know what? I'm not going to take the risk like I did with Dawson Mercer. We'll just let them pick. If they take our guy, then whatever. Some pick, and yeah, Perreault. So I'm glad. I'm really glad that I did not trade for that pick. Jacob Perreault ended up being a medium top 9 as well. Maybe we should have taken Lapierre if it's based on potential, but I really didn't like his personality with the lack of drive to win. We need some confidence here in this organization. So with this pick, we could either take Matthias Gustafsson, a defensive defenseman. He is 3 years away. Noel Gunler, who is a medium top 6, he's 4 years away. Or Jacob Vasyunov, medium top 6, 3 years away. And what I really like about Vasyunov is his personality, very passionate and gets emotional at times, but he is very driven to win. I like that about him. We are going to choose him with our 2nd round pick. He's a 60, or not 2nd round pick. I thought we were in the 2nd round based off the amount of picks we had already made. We already made 2 first round selections. We take Vasyunov, 31 overall. He is a 63 overall medium top 6 left winger sniper. And now the start of round number 2, Noel Gunler is actually still there, so we may as well take him, presuming there's nobody else that's down here that interests me. Maybe Ray Downey. Do we have a pick that is around the time that Ray Downey goes? 16. What pick is that? Is that around 48? So he might be there at that point. So I think here we're going to take Noel Gunler. And then with our next pick, we will take Ray Downey. And as for his personality, Gunler would mesh well in any locker room and has a very well-rounded personality. I also like that about him, so we will take him with our 2nd round pick. He's a 59 overall, but the medium top 6. So pick 48. Where's Downey going? 49. Ooh, that's going to be close. That's going to be close. So I think what we'll do, we might trade up because we know what we're getting with Ray Downey. But you know what? Let's let it play out a little bit here. Let's see what all these teams take. The Rangers take Letavuri. The Flames take Simon Tyvel. The Wild take Weissblatt. The Canucks take Gustafsson. The Canucks, again, take Coyle. Panthers take Francis. The Hurricanes take Hervinen. The Red Wings will take Kubicek. The Senators will take Greitz. The Oilers will take Reichel. The Senators again will take Tynan. The Jets will take Kygordov. And I'm going to go one more pick. San Jose will take Finley. So I'm going to hope that they don't take him with this pick. Okay, good. They took Reinhart. So we get our guy, Ray Downey, with our second round pick. Welcome to Salt Lake City, Ray Downey. He is a 62 overall, low elite, right-wing playmaker. And with this pick, there is Per Seidenberg, there is Jan Misek, there is Nick Malik. Seidenberg keeps his emotions in check and is very loyal, but lacks the drive to win. He's 3 years away from the NHL, so I don't think I'll be taking him. Jan Misek, he has a pro mentality already at a young age, and any team would love to have his personality in the room. I like that about him. He's got 5 years as his NHL ETA, so it'll take a while, but his personality may make it worth it over someone like Per Seidenberg. And for Nick Malik, he is a very passionate person. He gets emotional at times, and he's driven to win. So really, either of these two, Misek or Malik, can't go wrong. I think we will take Jan Misek. Welcome to Salt Lake City. He is 57 overall, but the medium top 6, so getting a lot of quality forward prospects here. On to our next pick at number 80. It looks like Misek already went, unfortunately. However, there's another goalie down here, as well as a defenseman, Eric Stevenson. He's ranked 98th, and his personality is another thing that I love. He has a pro mentality at a young age. Any team would love to have his personality in the room. He's 5 years away from the NHL, but we may be able to use him at some point in the future. And then there's also Jan Bednar. He is a gem. He's ranked 111. He is 17 years of age, and he is 5 years away from the NHL. He takes winning seriously, has an incredible drive to win, but his loyalty is a concern. So all things considered, I think we're going to take Jan Bednar. We do need a goalie prospect. He's a gem as well, which is something I really like about him. His personality isn't great, considering the loyalty is a concern, but I like his drive to win. So we are going to sign him, or draft him. And he is a 52 overall medium starter. Actually, we do have the 91st pick, so we could take Stevenson as well. So there you go. Welcome to Salt Lake City. Stevenson is a 48 overall, but the medium top 4. With this pick, we will take Jesper Oberg. He is ranked at 144. We're currently in the 4th round, but there's not much left in terms of potential. So we're just going to start taking guys who we really like. And I really like Jesper Oberg because of his personality and because of his potential. So we'll take him. He's a 50 overall, low top 6. So I think at this point, we're just going to take scout recommendations because there's not too many good potentials left. With this pick, we'll take Topi Eskalainen. Not sure if that's exactly how it's pronounced, but nonetheless, we're taking him. 51 overall, medium, top 6 defensive defenseman. And with this pick, we'll take another goalie prospect, Brock Gregoire. He is a 57 overall, medium backup, unfortunately. Here we will take one of our scout recommendations, Dave Ritchie, the medium fringe starter, 49 overall. Here we will take Kirill Steklov. He's a high AHL top 2 defenseman, 54 overall. That's unfortunate. And with our last pick, Nikita Ovechkin. He is a 54 overall, medium bottom 6. So there you go. Welcome to Salt Lake City. Byfield, Mercer, Vasunov, Gunler, Downey, Misek, Bednar, Stevenson, Auberg, Eskalainen, Gregoire, Ricci, Steklov, and Ovechkin. Also, one thing I forgot to mention in the first episode, there are no created players in this GM mode because one thing you guys may notice about created players, they all take a lot of shots. Cole Caulfield, for example, in our New Jersey GM mode, he wins the Maurice Richard basically every year. Another example, Nikita Gusev. He took nearly 300 shots a season in that New Jersey GM mode, even though he was a playmaker, because he was a created prospect. Cam York is another example. He takes a lot of shots for the Philadelphia Flyers whenever I take a look at his profile. And as well, Oliver Wahlstrom, back in NHL 19, for the New York Islanders, he took a lot of shots. He got 50 goal season after 50 goal season after 50 goal season, all because his shooting tendency was the maximum it could possibly be. So that is why there are no created players in this GM mode, in case you guys were wondering. Now, on with signing, everybody. So Charlie Lindgren, we will release. He is 77 overall at 26 years of age. Comrie and Saros. I do want to sign Saros. He wants 1.35 for 2 years. That sounds about right. We'll take him down to 1.3. And as for Comrie, we will also give him a deal. 1 year for 1.2. We're still going to be pretty terrible next year, so that's why I'm not really looking to release these guys at the moment. And then we have Schneider in the AHL, along with Gregoire, Bednar, and Ricci as prospects. Now, defenseman UFAs, we have Bouwmeester, and for RFAs, we have Dahlstrom, Siegenthaler, and Sautner. We may as well sign these guys to two-way deals. Dahlstrom actually wants a one-way deal, so I'll hold off on him for right now. Now, as for Bouwmeester, he wants $2 million for 1 year. It's quite the decrease from what he was making before. I'm going to hold off on him for right now as well. Now, UFA forwards, we have Simmons, Dubinsky, Gaudreau, Backus, and Delorier. I think we're going to release Delorier. We'll release Backus. We'll release Gaudreau. He doesn't want to resign. There's Dubinsky and Simmons. I do want to re-sign Simmons. He was pretty good for us last year. He's a nice veteran presence as well. And as for RFAs, I think we can release Dickinson. I want to sign for his Baca Carlson. He wants a one-way deal. That is fine. I'll give him $1 million for 2 years. Definitely want to re-sign Keetle. He wants 1 year, 1.4. Yeah, that's about right. Burakovsky, Kasha, Cirelli, and Bjorkstrand I also want to keep. So for Burakovsky, he wants 3 years at 2.4. I'll give you 2 years at, 2.4. That sounds about right. Again, these players have to kind of deal with the tire fire here. Kasha wants 1 year for 3.5. What if I take you? You kind of boost there, don't you? All right, so yeah, we'll give you 3.5 for 1 year. Anthony Cirelli, he wants 3 years for 3.1. If we take him up in years, he wants 3.7, 3.4. What was his stats like last year? He was second on our team in scoring, right? Yeah, 49. What he wants is about right for him. So 3.2 for 3 years, and Bjorkstrand, 2 years for 3.2. Now, Bjorkstrand, I believe, I don't know why I backed out, but I believe he led our team in scoring last year. Or no, that was Kasha. Yeah, that was Kasha, but he was definitely up there. So Bjorkstrand, we'll give him 3 years for 3.75. Dubinsky, I think we can release. And just for the veteran presence, we'll sign Bouwmeester and we'll sign Simmons. So Bouwmeester, I'll give you $2 million for 1 year. And Simmons, I'll give you 1 year at 2.7. There's Kasha, there's Burakovsky, there's Bjorkstrand, Saros, Simmons, Heedle, and I think Simmons actually rejected. Siegenthaler, Comrie, Sautner, fourth Baca Carlson. And now all that's left for RFAs are Bennett, Lawton, and Dahlstrom. And UFAs, all that is left is Simmons. So yeah, he did reject. So he looks like he's set on the amount of years he wants. Maybe we'll give him more money. Just because he's here in the tire fire, we'll give him $3 million. And for RFAs, Dahlstrom, he wanted a one-way deal, right? Yeah. And now Lawton, he wants a one-way at 1.3. What did he do last year? 21 points. Good face-off percentage in the amount of times that he needed to take face-offs. 68 hits. Not a good takeaway to giveaway ratio. But then again, we were not a good team in general. So I'll give him 1 more year at, definitely not 8 years, 1 more year at 1.3. Now, Sam Bennett, he had 12 goals, 19 assists, and 89 hits, so that's actually not too shabby. Faceoffs, 51%. He was good on faceoffs, and for how bad we were, his giveaways and takeaways weren't too bad either. And the 31 points is just a bonus for a depth forward. He's 24 years of age. We could use him as trade bait because he's that low top 6, so I think we'll sign him here. We'll give him 2 years. We'll give him 1 year at 1.5. There's Bennett, there's Simmons, and there's Lawton. I don't really think we'd get much value out of Dahlstrom, but we'll tender him anyway on the last day of the re-sign stage. And going to unsigned, you have Byfield. We're going to leave him unsigned for right now. He's going to stay in Sudbury. Pereshagen, he grew up to a 67 overall. And let's see, what about Anisimov? Anisimov is up to a 58. Remember, Anisimov, when we drafted him last year, was at a 48. So he had quite the growth there in Russia. And all these other guys, I think we're going to leave unsigned for right now. I want to see how our AHL team fills out at the start of the preseason. And presuming that we're able to get some decent veterans on board, which we should be able to, then we will sign some of these guys who are AHL ready, such as maybe Pereshagen. I would rather Pereshagen just stay in Russia for right now. So that is just about it for the re-sign stage. We will simulate up to the last day so we can tender Dahlstrom, and that will be just about it. So we're on July 1st, and we're in the hire coaches screen because I don't like our current coaching staff. We're going to try to find a coaching staff that is able to grow this roster very quickly. And obviously, this guy right here, he's got some tremendous attributes, but we're going to see if he would even consider joining us, as he has an offer from Tampa Bay. So yeah, let's get his thoughts on the organization. What is his preference to the organization? He wants to be on a team that could contend for the cup. What's the importance of that to you? And it is important to him. So yeah, it wouldn't work out here. We're going to end the interview right now. Sorry to waste your time. Now, what about this guy, Travers? He's got an A+ for coach influence, only a B for teaching, but that coach influence could go a long way. So let's see if he would be interested in coaching in an organization like ours. What is your organizational preference? He wants an underdog story. Okay, so I mean, we're not hopeful, but we are technically an underdog story if we can somehow manage to make a push for the playoffs. What's the importance of that to you? It's important to him. Okay, so this isn't this kind of situation that we were in with the other coach where he wanted to be on a contender. This guy, underdog stories, so it's a little bit different. And you know what? In a couple of years, within his contract, we could be an underdog story. So we'll keep talking to him. We'll ask him about his salary. He wants $2.3 million. Ooh, that's expensive. But you know what? He's a pretty good coach with those attributes. Most of them are at an A overall. So importance. What is the importance of the salary to you? It's critical to him. Okay, so we should probably give him more salary than what he actually wants, given that we don't meet his organizational preference exactly yet. And let's talk about the market. What about the market size? He prefers a smaller market. Okay, so I forget what kind of team market size I gave for Salt Lake City when I created them, but I believe we could actually take a look at it down here. Our current market size is actually large. This might work out. He's 56 years old. I do like his coaching strategy. It's balanced, but I do like how he works with Fleury. I like how he works with Chytil, and Chytil and Fleury are two of our main young players right now. So I think, honestly, this guy may not be that bad of an option, especially considering his coach influence up there at an A+. That part is particularly attractive to me because that could help grow other coaches that we sign on as well. So you know what? I'm going to give this guy an offer, and we will offer him. Considering Buffalo has already given him an offer, I think we will take him all the way up to, we'll try 2.75 for 4 years to be our head coach. And what we're going to do with our current head coach for right now is demote him to our AHL head coach. Just in case we can't find a good AHL head coach, then we'll have a good NHL head coach once the guy who we want signs. And we'll also have a pretty decent AHL head coach as well. We also do need some better scouts, but there's unfortunately not much out there. There's an AHL scout that is a B- and an NHL scout that is also a B-. But other than that, not much. And when you take a look at our current scouting staff, there's not really anything that's much better. We'll release one of the CAHL scouts and one of the CNHL scouts, but that's about all we can do here. That would make a significant difference. And it's really not even that much of a difference. It's only going from C to a B-. So we will sign Matt Molson. Matt Molson is actually the AHL scout. And then Neil Dodge will be our new NHL scout. Now, looking at our current roster makeup, for goalies, we have Comrie and Saros. So presuming that there's no young goaltender out there in free agency, that's our duo going into this season. So we're good there. Defensemen, we have Fleury, Bouwmeester, and Benning has NHL level defensemen. So we may want to get a couple of NHL level defensemen just to help us fill out the roster, make it look like we're being competitive, but we're really not. And for forwards, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 maybe for Forsbacka Karlsson. He had 45 goals last year in the AHL, so he definitely, he shoots the puck a lot. 384 shots, my goodness. I'd be willing to give Forsbacka Karlsson a chance for sure. So 10, 11, I guess, counting Lucic, and we need someone to fill in there. So we'll need a couple of forwards, we'll need a couple of defensemen, but nothing too major. We're still in rebuild mode. Keep stocking up on those high draft picks. We're going to need to. So we'll go into free agency. We'll get a couple of guys. And then what I think we'll do with the rest of our cap is we will just trade for guys who are massively overpaid and try to get some draft picks back with them. So I want someone who is just going to shut it down defensively. Let's try to get Justin Braun. We're going to sign him to 1 year, and we'll give him 3. We'll give him more than that. We'll give him 3.5 because, again, this is pretty much a tire fire year once again. I just want someone to be there and make it so that we're partially respectable. Because last year, even though we did our job in that we tanked for the highest pick possible, we had some really ugly games in there. So I prefer not to have that again. Rebuilds are all about progress, and you got to give the younger guys some confidence. So hopefully signing Braun will give them a little bit of confidence. Hayden Fleury, Filipino, You gotta let them do their thing offensively. We'll also sign Cody Ceci to a 1-year deal, and we will give him 2.5. For some forward depth, we will sign Sam Gagner. He wants a minimum contract. We'll sign him to 1 year, $1 million. Now I want to get Travis Zajac. He is really good at faceoffs. He has, I believe, like a 94 for faceoffs. He's going to teach our young centers how to take faceoffs, and he will be signed to a 1-year deal at 1 point. We'll give him... I kind of feel bad for him as a Devils fan, bring him into this tire fire, so we will give him 2.5 for 1 year. And just as I expected, there's not really any young goaltenders in free agency. They're all 28 or over. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not going to fit our time frame. By the time we're good, whoever we sign out of this will probably be on the decline. So we are going to not sign any goaltenders here. But what we will do now is look for teams that are in need of some cap relief. So maybe Anaheim with someone like Ryan Kessler, presuming he's still there. Yes, he is. He's got $6.8 million for 1 more year. So that's some cap relief that Anaheim could definitely use, even if only for this year. I'd trade Siegenthaler for that, for sure. So Siegenthaler, you know what? Let's see if this works. Proposed trade? Yeah, I didn't think so. That first is worth a little too much. So it doesn't look like we're going to get Anaheim's first out of this, but we could definitely still get some draft picks out of it. Try a second for next year, because I believe we already have quite a few seconds for this year. Yeah, we have 4 seconds for this year, so we're going to get a second for next year here out of this deal for Kessler. So Siegenthaler and Dahlstrom for Kessler, and a second. That might actually go through proposed trade. Yes, it did. It did, and he almost feels guilty saying yes to that deal. So we could have gotten more out of it, but we did get a second for 2 players who are not part of our future. And a trade alert to Nashville, a 1st-round pick, and to St. Louis, Calle Jarnkrok, and 2/3. And Cesar Trevors has rejected our offer. He went to Buffalo. That is unfortunate. He was the NHL head coach that we had offered. We did get Justice Kilger, though. Jan Maki is not interested in joining with this job title. You got Urchina. Hakkarainen declined because of the team's market size. Matt Mollison accepted as a scout. Dodge as well. Wismuller accepted. Reed accepted. And a trade to Winnipeg, a 1st and a 2nd, and to Montreal, Little and a 3rd. Wow. Gagner accepted. Zajac, Braun, Ceci. So we are still in need of an NHL head coach. And you know what? To be honest, I think it might be this Reed guy, because he's got that influence on the coaching staff with that A-, and he's also got the A for teaching. So we will promote him to NHL head coach. So getting promoted right from AHL head coach to NHL head coach pretty much immediately. And we are also going to need a NHL goalie coach, so I think we'll just move Urchina up. So now our NHL staff is set, and we are going to need some AHL staffers for sure. There's Kalle Lundin. He is signed on as our AHL goalie coach. There's Lubomir Orzak. He is signed on as our AHL assistant coach. And there's Reese Sugihara. He is signed on as our AHL associate coach. So here's our coaching staff going into this year. We have Reed as our NHL head coach. He's got that A for teaching and A- for influence. So he should help grow all these other coaches that are under him in the NHL. And then you have Goulet as our AHL head coach. And then Sugihara, Orzak, and Lundin in there as well. So Kyle Okposo currently making $6 million for 2 more years, and Buffalo does want to trade him, so that might be someone to go after, as we might be also able to get their 1st-round pick. I would trade Stevenson to you for Okposo and a 1st proposed trade. So I don't think that'll work. We'll instead go for a couple of seconds, because they want to trade both of them away, and we'll instead give you Eskalinen. Or Escalainen, whatever it is. Proposed trade, rejected. What about for 1 second for next year? Proposed trade. I think part of it is that Okposo still actually has a little bit of value. So we'll pass on Okposo. Seabrook. That might be... I don't know about the 3 years. That's a little risky. Because by year number 4, you know, I'm hoping to be at least somewhat competitive by then. Abdelkader is one we can do, for sure. So Escalainen for Abdelkader, and we'll try to get... couple of seconds on there. Proposed trade? Nope. All right. We'll do 1 second for next year. Proposed trade. How about a 3rd for next year and a 4th for this upcoming draft? Proposed trade. There you go. Absolute no-brainer. Figures. Now we will try trading for Montreal's 1st for next year in order to take on Carl Alsner, and we will give them Columbus's 3rd for this year. Proposed trade rejected. So I would not mind giving up Stevenson here. We just drafted him, but he's a 48 overall. We took him in the third round. He's a medium top 4. And he had 0 points as a two-way defender in the U.S. League last year. So, Stevenson for Alsner and a first. Proposed trade. Trade accepted. There you go. We'll try Steklov and Ovechkin again, but this time for the third. Proposed trade. Alright, so that may not be happening considering we don't really have too many assets that I consider tradable at the moment. I mean, obviously we have a lot of prospects, but I want to kind of see how they develop before we consider trading them. So I think we'll stop it right here as far as trading for picks goes, and we will just sign someone in free agency to fill out the rest of the cap. You know what? Let's give it to UC Jokinen, who is still in the game, 37 years of age. He wants $1 million. He's a 77 overall as a fourth liner. We'll give you 1 year at not that much because that'll put us a little too close to the ceiling. But we'll get you around $9 million just so we can have some breathing room in both directions between the cap ceiling and the cap floor. And there it is. 1 year for $10 million for UC Jokinen. And there was no doubt about that one. And we have a trade to Florida. Schultz and a fourth, and to Ottawa, Heponiemi, Parsons, and a seventh. Another trade to the Islanders, Alexiev and Harabik, and to Washington, Hickey and a third. And the captain this year will be Jay Bouwmeester, followed up by Wayne Simmons as the alternate. And I would say, yeah, Kasha is the second alternate captain. He was pretty good for us last year. 53 points, I believe, in the first season in Salt Lake City history. So we will go with those guys as the captains. And let's see the overalls of all of our guys. So Comrie is an 82, Saros is an 81. Defenseman Hayden Fleury is up to an 84 now. So he had a very good growth season last year. He should end up being pretty good for us now and in the future. And in the system, you, of course, have a bunch of hacks. Then you have Bouwmeester at 81, CC, Braun, and Benning at 80, and Alsner at a 78. Forwards, you have Hedel, who grew to an 82. Okay, not bad. He's still a third-line scorer, but he grew from an 80 to an 82. So I will take that. Kasha, Bjorkstrand, Sorelli, and Simmons all at 82 overall as well. Burakovsky and Nemesnikov are at an 81. Zajac is an 80. Bennett and Gagne, 79. Lawton and Abdelkader, 78. Kessler and Lucic are 75s. And in the system, you have Forsbacka Carlson, who is a 79, who are actually going to call up, as well as Jokinen. So we'll send Kessler and Lucic down, and we'll call up Jokinen and Forsbacka Carlson. And you know what? We may as well call up Dominic Mason as some extra depth on defense in the NHL. So there you go. There is the year one offseason. We're still going to be very, very bad next year, but you know what? Things are looking up. We got Hayden Fleury, who grew a lot over the course of this past season. Philip Hedel's growing. You got Quinton Byfield in the system now. You have Paris Hagen, who's up to his 69. You have Anisimov, who's up to his 60. He was a 48 at the start of last season. So, you know, seeing some progress here. So with all that being done, we will take a quick look at the lines here, and then we will just sim right through year number 2, because as we all know, it is going to be one tank job of a year. First line, you got Kasha, Sorelli, and Burakovsky. Second line, you got Simmons, Hedel, and Bjorkstrand. Third line, you have Nemesnikov, Zajac, and Forsbacka Carlson. And the fourth line, Lawton, Bennett, and Gagne. On defense, you have Bouwmeester and Ceci, and then Hayden Fleury with Matt Benning on the second pair, because Benning and Fleury, when together on the second pair, will create that +3 line chemistry, as opposed to if they were to be on the first pair, they would only have that +1. So we are going to have Fleury with Benning, and hopefully that will allow Fleury to really flourish. See what I did there? And you have Mason and Braun as the top 6 pair. Now in goal, obviously, will be Comrie and Saros. And then all you really need to know about the special teams is that Fleury and Hedel are on the same power play line together. That's really about it. And scratched are Alsner, Abdelkader, and Jokinen. And in the AHL, you have Schneider, of course, and Gregoire in goal. At forward, you have Lucic and Kessler. Then you have 3 of our prospects in Paul, Semenov, and Edmonds. And then Ovechkin as well is signed to the AHL team. Everybody else is just a no-name we don't care about. And on defense, there's Sotner, there's Dronov. That's really about it. I didn't bother signing any of our really good prospects because I figured they could develop better in either Europe or on their junior teams or in the U.S. League even. So I decided to leave them all there because most of them that aren't in juniors in the CHL aren't really good enough for the AHL yet, other than maybe Parazagan. But I feel like Parazagan could really benefit from another year in Russia there. And then, of course, Byfield, if we tried to sign him, we could play him, but he would have to play in the NHL. I don't feel comfortable doing that yet. I don't want to ruin his development, so we will leave him in Sudbury as well for this year. And one quick look at the draft class. Obviously, we don't know any of the potentials of these guys yet, but we do see a defenseman there at number 4 in Peyton Dundas. So if we finish last in the league, then the furthest we could drop with our pick is number 4, and therefore we would have the opportunity to select Peyton Dundas if we are in fact picking number 4. And even if we aren't picking number 4, if we're picking 1, 2, or 3, we may still want to pick up a defenseman, as we did pick up Byfield last year. There are, of course, 3 really good wingers here, it looks like, in Ratti, Coop, and Salonen, but we do need a defenseman. And I would prefer to take one sooner rather than later, as it would just be ideal to get that out of the way right away, because defensemen tend to be less common in the draft than wingers do, obviously, as we see here. And as we saw by last year as well, where there was only one defenseman in the top 10 or 15, I think. So with that all being said, we will get this season simulation out of the way, and we will get into at least the start of the offseason, where we see the draft lottery results and the retirements. Well, it's November 30th, and we somehow have a winning record. 12-7-4 on November 30th, and we are in 3rd in the Central Division. First of all, let's check out how this is even possible. So we'll start out with the team stats, I suppose, here. The goals for per game, we are currently sitting at a 3. So we're scoring goals, and we're, for some reason, keeping the puck out of our net. I can't explain this. We have a 13.6% power play, so we're pretty awful on the power play. We have a 79.4% penalty kill. We're not the greatest on the penalty kill either. We must really dominate at 5v5. I have no idea how that would be, though, because we don't have the greatest roster. We really don't. I mean, you guys have seen it. We don't have any player with a higher overall than an 84. That's Hayden Fleury on the back end. And then everybody else is 82 or lower. Bjorkstrand leads the team currently with 17 points, then Kasha with 16, Zajac with 16, are you serious? Hayden Fleury with 15 points as well, that overall boost with Matt Benning must be helping him tremendously. Wayne Simmons with 9 goals, 13 points, Sorelli with 13 points, Forsbacka Carlson with 8 goals and 12 points, Burakovsky and Nemesnikov with 11, Hedel and Bomeister with 10 points each. Let's see who else. CC with 10 points, Bennett with 9 points, Benning with 7, Lawton with 6, Gagne and Mason with 5, Braun with 4. And in goal, you have, oh my goodness, Eric Comrie with a 934 save percentage in his 16 games played. Are you kidding me? Of all the goalie fails that we've had, in the New Jersey GM mode, we've gone through at least 8 goaltenders in the New Jersey GM mode. Not one of them has been able to maintain higher than a 905 save percentage. And right here, with our expansion team in year number 2, with 184 overall player, everybody else 82 overall or below, Eric Comrie, of all people, has a 934 save percentage. I don't understand this game sometimes. So I guess we're going to end it off here as far as the simulation goes, because it obviously has not gone as expected so far. in a kind of a good way, but we kind of wanted to tank this year, and we wanted to get Peyton Dundas, who looks like an absolute stud, by the way. He's a two-way defenseman with shutdown ability, heavy slap shot, and mobility. His only weakness is teammate utilization. He's got A's for almost everything across the board besides defense, which will obviously be improved on as a defenseman. He's a medium elite, he's NHL ready, and he's a similar style to Mark-Edward Vlasic, and he's got a pretty good personality other than his loyalty. His loyalty I don't like, but you know what? He's got the drive to win. And that obviously matters a lot. But at the rate that we're going, we're set to pick somewhere, like around here. I honestly was not expecting this kind of start. You got it looks like you got a stacked top 5 in the draft this year in Ratti, Coop, Salonen, Dundas, and Wong. But right now, we're not going to be anywhere close to that. So what do we do? Do we have to look at this long term and say, all right, you know what? It's best to trade away all of our UFAs who don't want to re-sign and just try to tank the rest of the season? Or do we go with this? Do we roll with this and potentially make the playoffs for the first time in franchise history? And it's only in year number 2. But the thing about that is, again, we're not that strong of a team. I mean, on paper anyway. So, like, what do we do? So I think I'm going to end this one off here. I want to get your guys' feedback because this is an unusual situation here that we are in. So let me know what we should do. And I will see you guys in the next one when we continue with this unusual year number 2. See you guys then.